Hello, and welcome back to Trailblazer MTG. My name is Paul, or Prop, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the Ninjas deck that I built in the last video, some changes that have been made to it, and getting into a game or two to let you see it in action. Now, one thing that is probably well known to anyone who's deck built before is that, to paraphrase a 1800s quote, or similar to a Mike Tyson quote, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And so in testing and playing with this deck since I built it in the last video, there has been a number of changes that I've made to the deck based on performance, cards that didn't feel like they lined up correctly, things that felt underpowered, or they weren't quite doing what was needed. So as you can see on screen, we have the updated version of the deck, but I think to more concisely and quickly go through the changes, I'm going to use the handy compare function from my initial deck to the new deck, or the updated version of the deck. So as you can see, I have made quite a few changes, 26 changes in all. Some of them some ninjas have been removed. I have also added some different ninja cards, and what I have mostly done is add in some more mid-range options to allow to hopefully get myself on the board and stay alive long enough to start getting the ninja synergy working. I will say before I go any further that, having played this deck and tested it a few times, I'm not sure that Ninjas is a real competitive deck. It wasn't necessarily meant to be when I built it. It was meant to be a fun, interesting, synergistic deck. But I was hoping that there was enough support, enough synergy that it could compete with some of the more powerful decks in the format. That hasn't really shown to be the case, as you may see in the game we play a little later in the video. So let's quickly go through some of the cuts. A Biting Palm Ninja, and I'll go through the ninjas that I've cut. 3 mana for a 3/3 that just that is a hand attack spell, not really strong enough. Nezumi Prowler, it's a 3/1 for 2. Yes, it might get Death Touch, but a lot of the time I have found that you're really only sticking one creature at a time in this format. This Orokosaki 3/1 again, it maybe draws you one card. It's not doing enough turn over turn. Karai's Technique was an interesting idea, but again, if you're only sticking one creature, not getting the buff by returning that creature to your hand, really not helping all that much. Big Shredder, it was a 4 or 5 mana, kind of do nothing, right? Again, we're most often sticking one creature, or the creatures that aren't our ninjas are unblockable, and so the Death Touch is not all that valuable. To go through a couple more of the ninjas that were cut, Karai, she's a really cool card. She has really, really powerful, but she's not powerful in this deck necessarily. The Graveyard Recursion, this deck isn't, ninjas are not built to take the most advantage of that. Similar with Leonardo's Technique. There are places in other decks for these to exist and be really powerful, but it's not this deck. Prosperous Thief, the Treasure Token, a little bit of ramp, again, not quite having the impact that's needed. The Silencer, discarding a card to kill a creature, okay, but there are better ways to kill creatures in this format. And Umezawa, the 4-mana ninjutsu in a ninja base deck, not all that strong. And honestly, just a little too slow. The other changes that were made, I cut a number of the 2-mana unblockables, the Goban, the Shoreline Looter, the Hall Creeper, the Sig. and the Suspicious Stowaway. 2 mana for the Unblockable. Again, not really getting enough value. Probably we're not really sticking enough ninjas, and some of those ninjas we want to return back to hand, so the extra +1/+1 counter from the Mimic. Also not always what we're looking for. If you're returning tap creatures to your hands because they're attacking, Yaronoski not always doing what you want. Prehistoric Pet had a conditional unblockable, which is why that was removed. And Soul Cauldron and Lawbringer, cool tech, but I decided to go in a slightly different direction with what I'm looking to do. So let's go on to what I added to replace them. So first up, let's look at some of the ninja or enablers that I added in. Last Running Technique is the only quote-unquote ninja card that I really added to create the 3/3 white ninjas. I've kept the Ninja Lords and a couple of the other things that care about how many ninjas you care about. Hopefully then again ending up with multiple creatures on the board rather than just the one. We also see with Sinkhole Surveyor, way of creating extra creatures, Bitter Bloom Bearer, evasive creatures that will just keep coming. Couple of other cool includes Mockingbird and Stonecoil Serpent. You can play these at low mana, return them to hand, and then later in the game when you have more mana, play them and they're much bigger. A lot of the 1 mana includes either have good ETBs like the Lightstall Inquisitor or are Death Touchers, Cecil, Tiny Bones, Foulmire Knight. These, you don't really want to block them. That's the whole point. Dream Beavers has flying, and it has the ETB effect, the gain 1 life, drain 1, scry 1. Momo cares about leaving the battlefield, so you can get incremental value by bouncing it to hand, making your other creatures bigger, or getting the scry or even food. At the 2 mana enablers, I put in cards with ETB draw effects, Bellowing Crier, Helpful Hunter, Split Skin, and Spirited Companion. I think those are doing a little more of what we want in this deck. I also added Enduring Curiosity. If I'm playing or making unblockable creatures, having that draw engine in the later game, very useful. Also, for a little more stability to get to the point of the game where the deck is able to function, I just included a bigger removal suite. So we have Longer Buy, Meathook Massacre for a Pseudo Wrath, Get Lost, Cut Down, Baleful Mastery, and then Avatar's Wrath, which is a interesting, cool idea. You can bounce all but one creature, replay creatures from exile, or use the creature that is left to swing in and ninjutsu something else into play. Whatever you can manage. 4 mana is quite a lot. The deck kind of tops out at 4 mana, but that's where I went. The other thing that I think I missed when initially building this, honestly, but did get added in, is the Turtles Lair. It helps me cast ninjas or turtles. I have plenty of ninjas and turtles. And it also allows me to make them unblockable, which is also pretty useful. So those are the changes. Everything else down here, the other 74 were in the initial build. And like I said, this is an interesting, it's a techie, fun, it's a fun deck if you are allowed to get going. However, in a lot of matchups, a lot of other decks are designed to prevent you from getting going, and this doesn't have the most durability to the disruption that a lot of decks in the format can provide. So, that's it for the changes and the intro. And when I come back, I will be getting into a couple of matches, and we'll see how things go. Okay, we're about to get ready into the game. So let's start the match. Thank you to Mr. Bibz from the Wheeler Discord for accepting the game. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see how this deck functions when it gets to play its game plan. I believe Mr. Bibz is on a Snackrifice list. We've won the die roll, so that's a good start. Okay, so we have 2 mana, we have the Helpful Hunter, we have the Foulmire Knight, but no way to cast it turn 1. But I think this is probably going to be a mulligan. We don't really have we don't have a way to go to get the Silver Fur Master in quickly. We have the Stash Skeleton. You know, I'm gonna keep for now. We'll see how this goes. One thing I like about the Foulmire Knight is playing it on 1, returning it to hand, using it to draw a card, and then replaying it. I think that's a cool benefit that it has. Okay, so I'm gonna play this. I think I'm gonna play the Helpful Hunter and draw a card. Get a card draw going early. Okay, Fatal Push, that's good. We have a couple of removal options. Takanuma. I'm going to play this. I think I'm just going to attack. Because I don't mind if they block. I don't think that's a major issue for me. But this is also pretty good for me. Turn that to hand. Get Link Creature to play. And then I am going to... I'm just going to play this Foulmire Knight and keep the Fatal Push up. So the deck I'm playing against is a game objects, artifact tokens, matters deck. It's looking to turbo out a bunch of food tokens, blood tokens, clues, things like that, and then potentially, and then resolve something like Corvold in order to I'm actually going to just get rid of this now. Get something like a Corvold into play, which will allow for them to sacrifice multiple of those game objects and make it as big as they need it to be. So I can't exile it. I think, again, what I'm going to do is just attack. Probably not with Leonardo. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to attack with a Foulmire Knight. And then I'm going to get this into play, hit for 2, and then replay the Death Toucher. As you can see, opponent's generating quite a number of cheap artifacts. I think I'm going to have to deal with a Savvy Hunter. Interesting. So I don't really have a good option for putting. I suppose what I could do is I could create a second Silver Master, which would allow the Leonardo to attack. But I think the best option right now, I think I need to play this Helpful Hunter to draw a card. Okay, I get the Bloodstained Mire. Activate this. I think I need to get. Yeah, I think I need the second. I want to get the second white. And now I have that, and I'm going to Bitter Triumph, discarding. I think I'm going to get rid of the Blood Tithe Harvester because it can be used as a removal spell. Discard the skeleton. Yep, they sack it to create food. And I'm going to attack with both of these. If they want to trade, I think that's perfectly fine at this point. They get a card draw, I get to gain life. Next turn I'm hoping I can Turncoat Kunoichi, which will exile whatever creature they hopefully play with this mana. This is very good. Yeah, so I'm going to attack with both of these. That's fine. What I can potentially do next turn is use the Mockingbird to create a copy of the Turncoat Kunoichi, get something out of the way just for the turn, and swing for... well, that handles everything in play. Moonshadow. Okay. I think I would like a copy of Moonshadow. They want to sacrifice it, that's perfectly fine. Oh yeah. I get a 1/1, I'm going to pay 2 life, I'm going to draw a card, and then let the Foulmire Knight. Okay, that was a very good draw. I am going to get lost. This Fable. I'm going to attack with everything. Turn this to hand. And I don't think I'm going to replay the Mockingbird at this point. I don't have a lot to do with it, and it's good to, whatever they play, I can hopefully copy. they are in a situation where between Phantom Port and the... Ooh, the Minister. The Minister is a very good card. They have instant speed reanimation. I'm going to play the Stream Beavers. I think I want a copy of this for Minister. And see whether they sacrifice it in response. No. Okay. I don't really have an attack. But you know what? I want to get the Minister trigger, so and this is where we start to see where the deck can kind of start to run out of gas, right? I was able to put a lot of pressure on early in the game, but now that I had to trade aggressively, I have lost that. And I managed to tax a lot of what my opponent was doing, but they wrathed and they rebuild a lot better than I do. Yeah. This has trample. I don't have a death touch. There's not much I can do here. Yeah, and now they have basically infinite mana. Well, I can at least get rid of the Minister. Okay, I think this might kill me. They have, especially with the Beseech. Let's see what they play. Oh, they are taking out my creatures rather than attacking my life total, but that means they're probably fairly confident they can kill me however they want. Right now they have 9 damage. They're going to destroy the Minister. Yep, they have now wrathed my board for very little investment. Interesting, they didn't saddle. Well, I can at least get rid of this, but then I just die. So, yep, I'm going to concede. So, I don't know if I'm wondering if you can see kind of the issues this deck runs into, right? It has good synergy. I was able to build up, but my opponent was able to trade off. I may have been slightly aggressive. I think I was surprised that they took the trade of the Savvy Hunter for the Leonardo. But I think the life gain was probably better on my side. Okay. I have a removal spell. I have a Tiny Bones, which can tax their graveyard. And a Thousand Face Shadow, which I can cast. So I think I'm going to keep this. The question is, I think I'm just going to pay 2 life and get this Tiny Bones in play. Ooh. going to attack. See what they do. I am fine with that block. I'm now going to see what they have in hand. Well, I have the removal for the Sentinel. The nutrient block on its own not that useful, so I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to take this Molten Collapse. It also removes the Pat, so okay. Let me just attack. I'm going to play the Stream Beavers. I don't think that's what I need right now. And I'll play the Fast Land because I kind of need to. And I'll pass over. Okay, let's straight away. I'm actually going to play 3 life because I want to be able to play the Shadowy Backstreet this turn. They do have the Beseju, so the Stash Skeleton not as useful. But for now, just going to pass it back. They've played the Beseju, which means the Stash Skeleton is now a little more online. Okay. Imagine they'll sack this to maybe kill my beavers to draw a card. They also have the Molten Collapse they can use on the Slitherblade. They have the Savvy Hunter. Yeah, no blocks. Yeah, let's attack with everything. I'm going to take out the beavers. Yeah. And here we go again. Maybe I kept a slightly slower hand all in all. But I don't think it was a bad start by any means. And I mean, the Mayhem Devil is very good against my deck. I have a lot of one toughness creatures that can be just picked off by this option, but there's not much I can do about that. My opponent has luckily had it in both games. So, yep, now we're taking 6. Alright, they're going to take out my Slither Blade. No, I don't really have much of a choice on this because I do need to find an answer, and the Meticulous Archive is my best option for doing that. That's not what I want to draw. Nor is that. Okay. So if I sack, what can I get? Well, let's find out. Because if I don't do this, I'm dying anyway. Hang on. They don't have any way on board to sacrifice versus this Slither Blade. So let's see what we have. 3 mana. Maybe this guy. I have double white. Maybe this Skyclave. Metuk does not do it. Yeah, I think unfortunately my best option is the Skyclave Apparition. Which doesn't really get me where I need to be, right? I could Avatar's Wrath, but I can't cast it without killing my own creature. So let's do this. Well, that's a good draw. They can't replay it, but I am taking 3 from it. I block the Savvy Hunter. Oh, never mind, I'm just dead. Alright. Well, good games. I will let them kill me. I'm not going to concede. Okay, so you can kind of see some of the issues with the deck. It has a chance, even if it gets going, even if it has some of its initial build in hand, it can kind of just get outpaced and outscaled by some of these bigger decks. Okay, so that was one game. I believe I have a second game lined up with someone else, so I will be back momentarily with a second opponent. And we're back and about to get into the game with Awesomechilled. Now, I will say I'm not 100% sure what deck they're playing. It could potentially be a Boros Humans or Boros Blitz deck, but we will find out. So, if I am right, the last game was very much a mid-range opponent. This is going to be a little more aggro-y, so it will give you an idea of where this deck does and doesn't perform against a different archetype. This... You know what? I think Cecil can carry kind of games on his own with a Requiting Hex as backup. I think I'm going to keep this. If I need to, I can also Ninja Splinter in and then replay Cecil on turn 2 with a Windswept Teeth. But for now, I am going to just do this. And I will play Windswept Teeth turn 2. Okay, Mountain. Yeah, I believe this is a Boros deck, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I'm getting some card selection here. Okay, so I have the Bloodstained Mire. I think first up I'm going to attack. I don't think I'm going to play Splinter. I'm going to... I need black and blue, so I'll play the Bloodstained Mire and pass the turn. I'm going to just get rid of this. And then doing a lot of damage to myself here, but I think that's okay. I want to get the Undercity Sewers in. I think I will keep that. I don't really have another play, so I think what I'm going to do is just attack. I'll play Retail for Splinter. And play this Windswept Teeth. I now also I'm able to use either of these for the utility rather than just as lands. I will probably go get Meticulous Archive with the Windswept Teeth. It'd be nice to hit 5 mana, but I can also just play Leonardo for his 1 mana Retail and get a 3/2 with Splinter in play. Meticulous Archive. I don't think I want the Slitherblade. So Splinter has Menace. It'd be interesting to see if they want to trade for Cecil, but I can... Oh. Going to just pay this for 3 and this can enter tapped. I now have still have both these options because I do have 2. I can also just give him first strike on defense, which I think is very good. I have the Cecil to gain life. And I have the Aganjo or the Odawara should I need it. I don't have the 4 to activate the Ramanap, but deck probably has quite a lot of reach in terms of burn, based on what I've seen from them. Okay. Okay. Let's see what they do with attackers. Okay, they have 2 mana available. Interesting. I think that's okay. I'm just going to block and give him first strike. Okay. Let's draw a card off this split skin doll. I will play this Odawara and let's attack. I'll play the Sinkhole Surveyor and hold up the Ganjo. Functionally at 4 with the Ramanap if they have an additional land. Okay, that can very easily get out of a Ganjo range, but let's see. Okay, they're holding back. Okay, Get Lost. Get Lost is very good. So 3, 4, 5. Take 1. I go to 5. Put the counter on it. If they double block, I can Ganjo and Get Lost. So covers me on both sides for what they may have as a pump spell on defense. So we shall see. Okay, they are Ganjoing my Sinkhole. I think that's also fine. Just a Ganjo back. I have a blocker, I have the Get Lost, should I need it. So I do believe I do know this opponent's deck at this point. They are playing a Boros Blitz, as you may have been able to tell. They want to stick heroic and valiant creatures and cheap creatures that they can then pump, make bigger. Obviously, Firebrain Schemes is able to target and give your creatures extra power. Seedglaive Mentor gets bigger whenever you target it. Same with the Laganaban Trailblazer. Obviously, they have a lot of burn, a lot of removal, direct damage, other ways to reach. But yeah, it's a fairly synergistic aggro deck. I feel like this keep was maybe a little slow on their end, with requiring the Firebrain Scheme to exile at the start of the turn. Okay, so we have a Lightning. Let's see if they attack with Kraza, because if they do, I mean, I think either way I'm getting rid of the Lightning at end of turn. And then probably swinging with everything. I will trade here. I can give Leonardo first strike if needed, and if they only have one blocker, Splinter gets through. If they have a 1-mana creature, that probably means I have to hold Splinter back, but we'll see. They've only got 2 cards in hand. They would have to pay life to pay a colored mana. They only have access to colorless right now. Okay, there's the Satyr Hoplite. That still allows Leonardo to attack, so So I'm going to get lost this lightning. Okay, I drew a land. I think I'm just going to attack with Leonardo. If they block, I can give him first strike. If they double block to give him, I can give him first strike. Or if they just block with Kraza, I can give him first strike. So, notably, the map tokens don't synergize with Heroic. They only synergize with a Valiant, because that's spell or ability, and Heroic only cares about spell. Okay, that is a very good card. That does get them out of some of their ranges, but I can block and crack back. Let's see what they do. Well, that is reach. Yep. I assume they're going to leave that on top, because if they draw it, they just win the game. Because I would have to... I can block here, or block trade and jump. Or they can just hold back, and next turn... lightning strike, and... Okay. Okay, interesting. So if I attack with everything, something gets through. Whatever gets through, I can sneak Leonardo in. He gets +1/+1, and then gets... So that's 4. Yeah, I think I just have to swing with everything. The only issue, even if they block Splinter, he's still a 3 power. And I can continue to give Leonardo first strike. So, yep. Yeah, so we sneak. If they have a burn spell in hand, they have a burn spell in hand. A creature burn spell. If they had a direct damage burn spell, they would have probably gone to face. Okay, I was going to say. I was worried that was going to give some lifelink, but no, that's perfectly fine. And we win a game. Okay. So, yeah, I think opponent had a slightly slow start. Maybe their draws didn't quite line up with what the deck is trying to do. They obviously were able to resolve some cheap threats, but didn't feel like their targeted pump spells came at the right times to protect their creatures. Opponent had an early misplay. I'd have to double check on what that was. I don't remember exactly what it is. I will check with them after the game. This is interesting. I have a turn 1 Leonardo, turn 2 Doll, and hopefully can get into Meat Hook. Oh no, I don't have turn 1 Leonardo. I have so turn 2 Doll, turn 3 Leonardo, with the Curiosity and the Meat Hook. I don't think this is... I think I need some removal. Flutterwing is nice. Malakir. Yeah, I think this is a keep. I think I'm going to put the Malakir Rebirth back. Oh, thinking about it, I'm thinking it was probably the block that my opponent, the block my opponent made on Leonardo when I had the mana to give him first strike, which meant I was able to preserve the removal spells I had in my hand. Well, abilities, being as they were land based. I think I offer this trade. If they have a way of making it, yep, I think that's fine. I have the nuisance for turn 2. There's double strike. Interesting. I can attack this as a 2/2 next turn. This is a very strong little 2-drop, double strike creature. They have a second spell for the Kori Steelcutter? That would be, yeah, of course they do. This is a really sweet turn 2 from our opponent. Turn 3, sorry. Yeah, that's 8 damage I gotta take. So this is what I meant when I mentioned opponent having the potential for a very strong start. If I attack here, I believe I'm dead. I can Splinter's Technique, and yeah, actually, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack. I'm going to Demonic Tutor. And I'm going to go get a Fatal Push. Because otherwise, I'm going to die. So they can just Angel Fire this and make it a 4/4 Vigilance, Lifelink, Trample, Indestructible. Which again is an incredible amount of pressure to be putting on this early in the game. Yep, the Prowess. And I'm guessing a second spell for the Kori Steelcutter activation, which means I will be, and if it's a non-creature, that'll be 5 damage I'll be taking. If it's a pump spell, even more. It could yeah, I think I'm dead here. So that is, oh, interesting. I mean, they can just Angel Fire and kill me. So I think I'm just dead, but I'll let them see the line. I could have just killed myself with the Caves of Koilos, gone out on my own terms, but is this an instant? No, it's a sorcery. Interesting that they're going to attacks. Well, past the blockers. I mean, I'm going to sacrifice the card draw potential for the trade here. And if they have it, they have it. Okay, they just had it. They could have attacked. They could have attacked with everything. They had plenty of ways to kill me there, but that's fine. So yeah, that's opponent's deck behaving, I think, as designed. Game 1, as they say, they misplayed, but also had a slower start. This feels a little slow. You have the Deep Cavern back for hand attack, but on turn 2, they could put a threat into play on turn 1 that I can't deal with. So I think I have to mulligan. This is worse. This is a very bad hand. It's all lands. This is even a land and a 2-drop that does not get the value that I want it. Oh, and I misclicked. Well, we'll put this back, and I guess we're probably just losing this game. Let me put this in play. I will go get the Meticulous Archive. That's not really doing it. I think I probably need to find removal. That is removal. Let's just play this for retail. Good thing about Avatar's Wrath is they like to Voltron up their creatures and put counters on them, so being able to, even if they don't go away forever, being able to reset a lot of that power and toughness is very useful. As mentioned. Yeah, I can take one here. I'll play this tapped. Well, I'll offer the trade. They're not going to take it. I'll get to draw a card, discard a card. I think I'll get rid of this Mimic. Yeah, I'm not going to block here. See what they do. They probably have a pump spell, but I'm planning to Avatar's Wrath next turn. Yep. If I blocked, I would have mitigated 1 damage. Okay, this is actually pretty good. I mean, they get the benefit of the fear of missing out, but I think this is just discard this Malachite Rebirth and end the turn. I think I'm just going to play a 5-power Serpent next turn. But we shall see. I think first up I'm going to attack. Yeah, I'll discard. Actually, I'm going to discard the Thoughtseize. I'm going to do this because it can also tax their graveyard. Not that there's any creatures in there, but they have a Burst Lightning. Okay. Well then, in that case, if they draw a land, they'll be able to kill it with the Burst Lightning, but other than that, I will be... Okay. This makes sense. Now, do they have the land? Do they want to cast the FOMO? They can cast 2 of the creatures in their hand? I could also pay 2 life to... Actually, they do not get the... They can't prevent... They can't use... Excuse me. They cannot use Skrelv to prevent me blocking the Slick Shot. The only option is to make the Slick Shot big enough that I don't want to block it. But instead, they're playing the Aspirant. They can still offer the trade here. Burst Lightning me. That will make this a... Well, they'd have to Burst Lightning the Stone Coil. No, Burst Lightning me, make this a 4-3, and that would be the trade. I don't know that I make that trade. We'll see what happens when they attack. Okay, they're casting the Hoplite instead. I'm just going to cast everything. It provides blockers. Gives them a decision on what they want to Burst Lightning. They're probably waiting for another land so they can Burst Lightning the Stone Coil, clear it away with 4 straight damage, and then attack in the air with the Slick Shot. There's the 5th land. They now have access to a 4 damage burn spell that they could hit the Serpent with. And then they hit for 5 in the air. Yeah, I was going to say. I thought so. So I kind of need to hope for... Well, that's not what I needed. Let's do this. See if they want to trade, which they almost certainly will. They have probably lethal in the air next turn with the Slick Shot. I would keep the Luminarch. probably block with Scrolv and the Hoplite. Okay, my best hope is to draw a removal spell for the Slick Shot. Never mind, I am dead. Alright. Yep. Okay, well that was a couple of games with the deck. I'll be back shortly for a quick wrap-up, but thank you for watching, and GG's to both of my opponents. And here we are back at the deck screen. So I pulled out a couple of things I wanted to talk about from now you've seen the deck in action. Some of the reasons why I think this deck doesn't quite come together in the way that I would want it to as a ninja strategy. And I kind of pulled them out on the right over here. So a lot of the abilities, the sneak and ninjutsu abilities, are powerful on their own. However, they don't necessarily synergize with each other. They are somewhat tempo negative, and therefore having a strategy built around them, they need to be kind of game breaking in their own way. So these are powerful effects, and they have the potential to be game breaking, but they are situational enough that they are really more cards that can fit and boost another archetype. So let's quickly talk about that. Turncoat Kunoichi. This is a very powerful card in isolation, right? 4 mana, it's a 3/2 body that if it's coming in for its sneak cost, is going to hit for 3 damage, and it's going to exile any one creature for good. It's gone. It's a really, really powerful removal spell. But that doesn't necessarily win the game on its own. Karai has, again, at 4 mana sneak cost. She's 3 damage to the face, and she's a reanimation spell. Getting any card back from the graveyard is really powerful, but only if the cards in your graveyard are a reanimator target, like an Atraxa, like in other formats, Archon of Cruelty. Those are the kind of cards that when they enter the battlefield, win the game. And in a ninja deck, there isn't really a creature that's going to come back from your graveyard and win the game on its own. Leonardo, 4 mana, the double striker. Either way, whether you sneak him or get him into play normally, he's really best in a strategy with small creatures. Hate bearsy, tempo-y strategies, not necessarily a ninja deck. There are 1 power or toughness creatures in the deck, but they are not the strongest. They're not the strongest options that you can have. Similar with Leonardo's technique. It's a really powerful reanimation spell for the 3 animator strategy, but this deck isn't doing 3 animator busted stuff. And then Shark Strider. This has a potential to be a backbreaker. This is very matchup dependent. If your opponent is putting big powerful creatures into their graveyard, you can take advantage of this. But if they are not, it's a 4/4 first strike. That's fine, but it's not winning a game on its own unless you're in the right matchup. So those are some of the most conditionally powerful options. In this little pile here, I have really probably the most powerful in a vacuum options. So Nashi is kind of like somewhere between a Fallen Shinobi and a Ragavan, right? Deals combat damage to a player, you exile the top card of their library, which is what Ragavan does, and you get to play it without paying its mana cost, which is what Fallen Shinobi does. Fallen Shinobi hits 2 cards, Nashi only hits 1, and you don't have to pay mana for it. So that's somewhere in between because you are paying life instead. This is a really powerful effect. It can take over games, it can be backbreaking, but it's not the beating that a Fallen Shinobi is, and the life is a genuine cost. It's also not a 1-mana red creature like Ragavan. So it's, like I said, it's somewhere in between. It's a powerful ability on its own, but it's not quite winning the game on its own unless you get really lucky with your hits. Splinter's technique. I think this is just a better version of Case of the Stash Skeleton, right? Case of the Stash Skeleton comes down on turn 2, and then you need a way to get rid of the creature it creates. This, if you play a 1-drop creature, on turn 2 you return that creature to your hand, and you have the Demonic Tutor. Case of Stash Skeleton, you play it on for 2 mana. You have to get rid of the creature it creates. Then you have to wait another full turn cycle after that creature dies before you can use it. This technically could go off on turn 2. This could be a Demonic Tutor on turn 2, which can be really powerful. It's tempo negative, but I think that's fine. This is probably one of the most powerful sneak cards that they have printed. And anyone who's played Standard knows how good the Kaito Planeswalker is. Ninjutsu, it's a 3/4, 3 mana. It can buff ninjas, which is itself. It can just buff itself if it needs to stay alive. The surveil and draw, really useful, and just tap something down, turn off one of their big threats. All these 3 very powerful in a vacuum. In any deck that can cast them, or especially sneak them, or ninjutsu them, is going to want these in there. This middle section I have here, these are the token. These are cards that I believe fit really well into a token strategy, but a token strategy isn't necessarily a ninja strategy, right? We have Leonardo, 5 mana. It's a power anthem across the entire team. You can also just play him for 1, and he's a 2/1 that you can give first strike, which means he can enable ninjutsu for other creatures, but honestly, you really want the 5 mana anthem effect because that just wins games. Big Brother, also, if you've gone really wide, you attack, you sneak this in for 1 mana, and he's hitting for 8-9 damage for 1 mana investment. That's huge. And then last running technique, it creates 3 ninjas. That's really, really good. Really good in the token strategy, really good with an Elspeth, the token doubler in play, but just really good in any token strategy that wants to go wide, similar to both the Big Brother and the Leader in Blue options. And then finally, this is the one card that I think is the card that you would want to build a ninja strategy around. I have seen this crop up in Standard. I don't know how powerful the ninja deck is in Standard. It's certainly... The match it went off was very scary, but this is very much an all-in on ninjas. However, looking at the rest of the ninjas that we have here, the rest of the ninjas that are available in the set, in the format, it doesn't quite have the support in a singleton format to really go fast and kill people with that life loss. So those are the main sort of powerful ninja options that are in the deck, but if you look at each of them individually, no individual card is winning the game. And unfortunately, if you are going on this low tempo, returning your own threats to your hand for these abilities, you need to be winning the game off those activations. And unfortunately, it just doesn't quite do that. Maybe if there is a future set that brings back ninjutsu or sneak, there will be enough support around it. I don't think this is far off, but for now I think ninjas are kind of relegated to being a support role in other decks. These are all very powerful effects and cards, but they do not synergize with each other in a strong enough way to make the ninja strategy work on its own. So that's it from me from the ninjas deck. I will maybe come back to this. I'll maybe tinker with it over time, and if I feel like I turn the corner on it and I actually find something that works, probably with a much lower density of ninjas, much more of a mid-rangey, just standard mid-range strategy with some ninja support, I might come back and talk about that deck and show some plays of it. But for now, this is kind of going to get set to the side. One of the reasons for that is starting next week, we will be starting up the April Pioneer Lander Trailblazer Asynchronous League in the Ben Wheeler Discord, and I have a deck set up for that. So next week I will be showing my deck tech for the tournament, and then following that I will be posting my round by round gameplay of the Async League over the next few weeks. So if you're interested in that and looking forward to it, please like and subscribe. You can also, I will put the link to the Discord in the video description again. If you want to join the Async League and give this format, this really fun format, a shot, please hop on over there and come to the League Discussion channel and register for the league. Build yourself a Pioneer Lander deck and have some fun. There's really nothing major on the line. It's just testing the format out and really kind of getting an understanding of where we are. So with that, I will bid you all a good day, and I will see you next time.